Minister Patricia de Lille is currently facing tough questions on how she oversees the South African Tourism Portfolio Committee. That portfolio committee is currently also hearing submissions by de Lille as well as the dissolved board. Let's take you live there.
The president has done lifestyle orders on all of us. It's there. But I will not tolerate anybody even insinuating that I've got a corrupt relationship with anyone in this country.
But you can do that.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, why did the minister fail to appoint a deputy chairperson for 9 months when the act is prescriptive that the minister must? Does the minister accept that the failure to fill this leadership gap contributed to governance instability?
Honorable Mashabela, I think I'm going to come in there. I think you are now the second person who's asking the same question. And then Minister have done a rontom tali, like we say in Afrikaans. She's not clearly answered that question. So I think you should move to the next question.
No, Chair, it's not the same. The first part is the same. But the second part, does the minister accept that her failure to fill this leadership gap contributed to governance instability? That part, no one asked it. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Contribute to governance instability. The answer is no. Thank you.
Chair. Minister, among the issues requiring urgent scrutiny is the irregular appointment of the current CEO, who ranked second in the interview process and has a history of financial transgressions within South African tourism. Minister, did you deliberately mislead cabinet by failing to present the top-ranked candidate for the position of the South African tourism CEO, thereby manipulating the appointment process?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I have said to this committee earlier on that I sourced a copy of the report and the process that led to the recommendation by the then board to the appointment of Ms. Goliwe. I further said, I've got the copy here, I will share it with the committee. I further said that I took the recommendation from the board to cabinet. And cabinet concurred with the recommendation. To say that I have misled cabinet, I had to take the full report and the process of how they arrived at their recommendation to cabinet. So I've not misled cabinet at all. There's absolutely no evidence. Thank you.
Chair, please, the committee must note that no one has ever laid a formal complaint about the CEO of South African tourism and lived to see another day as an employee of South African tourism. If the decision that was taken by the board was unlawful in terms of the act, why is the minister confirming that CEO remains suspended and yet the minister dissolved the board.
Honourable Minister.
Yes, because the process and the procedure to deal with the suspension or disciplinary of the CEO is with the board. They will make a recommendation to the minister to concur or not to concur. In this instance, again, the new board that is being appointed now, in the interim, they will deal with that matter. It's with them. It is on their desk as one of the first items that they have to deal with. I'm not getting involved in disciplinary procedures. That is why I said that she remains suspended, because the next board must deal with that issue and make a recommendation to the minister. Thank you.
Honourable Hlong.
I think it's going to be the last question.
Honourable Mashabela, there was a hand quickly. Honourable
Okay.
Hlongo.
Is there any
I
hand?
hope it's not a question, huh?
No, it's not a question.
Okay.
Chair, we are seated here as members of this parliament, Chair, and I said it when Minister was responding to me. I'm again saying it when Minister is responding to Honourable Mashabela, that it must be noted, Chair, that Minister is not willing to cooperate to this portfolio committee on tourism, the portfolio committee that must hold her accountable, because Minister, the board did write to the minister for concurrence in the suspension of the CEO. She knows it. They wrote to you, Minister. But Chair, you say they did not write. So Chair, I wanted just to mention that the minister knows these things. And again, she continues and protects the CEO even in front of us.
Honourable Chairperson, let's talk about which suspension, because her suspension is the second one. And I'm responding to that. That's why I say the second one is going to that board. The first attempt, I also explained earlier on about the concurrence that was sought from me and what I did. So there's no confusion here. So please, when members might follow up, say first attempt or second attempt, then I can respond directly to that.
Honourable Mashabela.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, thank you very much. I get you see the minister is busy. So, Chair, has South African tourism communicated with the service provider involved in the MI finding about recouping the 4.1 million? If so, what was their response? What are the next steps? And what has this been included in South African tourism's response to the Auditor General?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. So you are service provider in the 4.1 million. That is the service provider, I think it was WWP. That is what I will have to go and find out, whether the administration and the suspended CEO or COO, whether they have contacted the service provider, and come back and give the honourable member that information. Thank you very much.
I think this time the minister must do the correct thing. The minister must do the right thing. Go and do the right thing, Minister. You know the difference between right and wrong. Minister, in conclusion, the dissolution of the board is unlawful, Minister, because it is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Republic and inconsistent with the Tourism Act itself. Please go and apply your mind and change your decision. Go and do the right things, please. What you did is absolutely wrong.
Honourable Minister.
I think the honourable member, as Marshall, is entitled to your opinion. Certainly, I grant you that. But, like I said earlier on, I have acted in terms of the law, and that is my interpretation. If the decisions that I've taken is unlawful, another member asked whether it can be reviewed, and I said yes. That is why you've got the separation of powers, the executive, parliament, and the judiciary. We've got an independent judiciary in this country. So I'm not going to pretend to be a pseudo lawyer and say this one is right and that one is wrong. I can only say, based on the legal advice that I have received, this is how I have acted in terms of that legal advice. Thank you.
Honourable Mashabela. Okay. Honourable Mashabela will be followed by Honourable Linda.
Chairperson, good afternoon, and good afternoon to all present again. Honourable Chair, I want to thank the Minister for her presentation today, and also I want to thank the former members of SAT and the board members who honoured us with your presence today. I know you took the day out of your lives to be here, and we appreciate all your submissions made today. Minister, you said earlier a story has two sides. Let me correct you. A story has three sides. Yours, theirs, and the truth. And I tend to believe the truth. So, Honourable Minister, your steadfast declaration that the buck stops with you rings in hollow in the context of the SAT crisis. Your handling of this matter suggests not that the buck stopped, it went right past you, or it was abdicated. But the fact that this committee and the public first learn of the SAT explosion through the media is profoundly unsettling. It reveals a lack of hands-on leadership and oversight that this department so desperately needs. You should and you could have prevented this. So, Chair, I want to ask some questions to the Minister on the suspension of the CEO. Honourable Minister, you stated that the CEO suspension is related to the allegations from a staff member. So what is the specific nature of these allegations? You even said that on the media. And can you confirm whether they were formally brought to the HR department or to the previous board, for that matter, before being escalated to you? And then when it was escalated to you, what did you do?
Honourable Minister.
Now, I don't know how many times I've explained with due respect to the honourable members. There's a letter that you also have. The letter was written by this dissolved board. I have said in their letter, they said because of retaliatory reasons, whatever. I said it twice. I had also in the meeting of the 4th of July, because I don't deal with disciplinary matters. I've raised it with the board, their failure to deal with 2 grievances from the company secretary. I also raised it with the CEO and the board. I said, why have you failed to deal with 2 grievances from the company secretary up till now? Somewhere between them, the buck, whatever. But you asking, I will go and get you the answers. But that process must go on. The new board must deal with those issues and then make recommendations to me. I don't know how many times must I repeat what is in the law.
Honourable
Please,
Minister,
honourable members,
Honourable
I
Member,
really don't know.
let me just come in there.
Can I just also, the last one, Honourable
Honourable
Chair,
Minister,
before
I
you...
just want to quickly say that,
Yes.
you see, I'm going to reiterate it. And I think for future purposes of the functioning of this committee, that we take this into cognizance. The fact that we are sitting here without any documentation provided by your office. Letters you are talking of, we have not seen them. Resignation letters by the chairperson of the previous, we've not seen any of those documentation. So we are just, that is why I said inquisitorial, so that we get to the bottom of things, because we have not been provided like other committees who get provided by the ministers, they get provided by the executive with information, and based on that information, they then come to the committee and hold the executive accountable. We are unable to do that because we do not have any documentation from the executive. So when you make reference to letters, etc., we have not received those letters, and I just wanted to correct that. Thank you, Honourable Minister. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I was referring to what the dissolved board was reporting about. Now, the Honourable Member raised that they had to learn through the media. And this happened in the month of August. Your Honourable Chairperson picked up the phone, even though you were all on a recess. And she said, Minister, as soon as we go back from recess, I'm going to call you to come and explain and answer. When I met with the tourism sector, also to explain to them what is going on. Again, I said that we will give you a feedback on our interaction with the tourism sector, which I've done today. So I don't know whether members expected me to come and bring a report to you or consult with you before I dissolve the board. That is not clear to me, Honourable Chairperson. Was that the expectation of the committee? Because the committee was also in a recess. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Chair, I'm going to comment on that, and I want to make a statement that the Minister knew about everything that happened and was happening in SAT, and we did not know about this. So that's why we are not very happy that we should read about the issues in the newspapers, but you couldn't entrust us with it. Chair, but let me continue on my second question on the CEO. And Minister, I do understand that you are not involved with that this disciplinary process. We do understand it, but you have a hand in it, unfortunately. What did I say? The buck stops with you. The suspension of the CEO occurred amidst reported disagreements between the CEO and the board on strategy and governance, and today we learned that the probation issue for the first time. So who made the decision to suspend the CEO? And here my question, was it you or the board, which lacked a chairperson? You dismantled the board, the CEO remains suspended. On what legal basis was this action taken? And please don't tell me your legal advisor told you so. You or the chair, or the board without chairperson? Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Minister.
Opportunity. This is not about personalities. This is about accountability. And certainly my only concern is safeguarding public funds and ensuring that South African tourism is stable and credible. Yes, the buck stops with me, but the application of the law prescribe that you have to go through certain processes before the buck stops with the minister. And that is what I am respecting, due process. You can't break the law a little bit or big. I hear some people say, it was just technical. So technically they broke the law. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The proof is there. And you know, the minister, I am very respectful of all the committee members. I was one side also on that side of the house. And I've got tremendous respect for you. And I don't want to sound as if I'm ducking and diving. I will repeat, the buck stops with me again, because I said to the portfolio committee that. But the buck stops with me in terms of the law. The law gives me powers, it gives the board powers, it gives the SATs and institution powers, it gives parliament powers, it gives the constitution, it gives us all powers. So we must know our powers in terms of the constitution. Not the buck stops with me, yes, it stops with me, but in terms of this, it's the highest law in the country. And if anyone ever expects me to disobey this law, I will not do it. As simple as that.
Thank you, Chair. We'll leave it to the public to decide on these, the quality of these answers. Minister, did you know about the probation assessment, and were you taking sides to deliberately trying to protect the CEO? And I did know you are going to say something about it again. But you halted the process based on what I've heard today. The moment the probation came up, then there were resignations and issues. So I need to know, what is your involvement here? And on the same topic, let me ask another question, Chair, so the Minister can answer it, at once. Have you been communicating directly with the SAT CEO? Why did you communicate with her? And can you undertake to provide the record of all this communication to this portfolio committee? Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, and thank you, Honourable Member. Excuse me. Stop thinking. I've heard the allegations today made by the previous board chair. And if the previous board chair has got evidence, those allegations must be tested. If you want to test it now, then I can also say, give me that documents, the allegations that has come out here. But it's an allegation that must be tested. And I'm prepared for that allegation to be tested in whatever way. Even if the portfolio committee want to test that allegation, I will give my full cooperation. Now, communicating directly with the CEO. I want to give you one example where I did communicate directly with the executive of SAT, because I sensed that they needed help to completely understand and comply with the PMFA and government procedures and all of that. I convened a meeting with all the executives. I took with me the Director General of the Department of Tourism, the Legal Office of Tourism, the Chief Director of Tourism Legal, and also the CFO of the Department of Tourism. And I said to them, you are all officials here. What I pick up is that there are some weaknesses. And I asked the DG and the CFO and the Director of Legal Services to assist them. And they did take up that offer afterwards to contact the DG or the CFO for matters. Again, I am prepared to bring the record to the members where I've written directly to the CEO. One example, it's the Jazz Festival, starting on a Friday and a Saturday. Around about 12 o'clock Friday that afternoon, I received from SAT a call to say, Minister, we can give you 10 tickets for Saturday and 10 tickets for Friday. SAT offering me 10 tickets to the Jazz Festival. I think DM can speak for herself, but I know they also offered to the board chair. I said, you can't invite me to an SAT event. I have got already accepted an invitation to go there. I went there to the Jazz Festival. And the SAT had their own hospitality section. And then, I didn't even write that down. I phoned the CEO. I said, who authorized this hospitality tent? Because again, I've made interventions in terms of the cost containment measures. The cost containment measures is clear on hospitality. Yes, and I wrote to the CEO, and I wanted to know the following. How many people were invited, and who are those people? I wanted to know what was the cost of the hospitality box. I wanted to know who authorized it. And then what did I do? I also sent that same letter to the board. Because the CEO was my first port of call because I spoke to her on the Friday. So yes, but what you conclude to mean that by communicating directly with the CEO, I have covered up for the CEO, I've undermined the board. It's here. What I raised with the CEO, I also raised with the board. I really, Honourable Chairperson, want to dispel this notion once and for all that I'm trying to protect the CEO without a single stitch of evidence. But people are using it as a cover for themselves. Instead of answering, why did you break the law? This is not about personalities. I am here for accountability. And I keep on hearing this coming through from several members. Several members. Maybe, out of your content advisor, we all, the questions.
Order, Chair.
No, I'm just saying the
Order,
advice, the advice that you got.
Ask my next question.
Chair, with your respect, I think the minister was coming okay up until she becomes emotional and want to generalize the participation of individual members of this committee by posing questions to her as personal attack. These are not personal attack. We are here in this meeting to seek clarity and engage the reports from the dissolved board, including the input that she has provided in the beginning. So with due respect, Chair, Minister must not become emotional and generalize the participation of members as a personal attack against her.
But Chair, the order was called by me.
Yeah, but there's also no order amongst you as members this side. You see, Linda was on the floor. There was a point of order called by Hlongo. My aides was just jumped in. And then Mashabela is just commenting. I'm sitting right here by you.
All right, we're going to come out of that very tense discussion there, live proceedings, as the Minister of Tourism, Patricia de Lille, there is responding to oral questions from the Tourism Portfolio Committee. She's being taken to task, of course, over her stewardship of the Tourism Ministry.